So when it comes to video games, there's so many different reasons as to why we're drawn to them. Obviously, we don't want to spoil ourselves going into the game, but it is important to know the type of expectations that we have in the game and the type of perspective that we're going into it with. That is crucial to making a game that is and taking an amazing game and letting you have the most of the experience versus having something that turns you off right from the first few chapters. So
Go! Hey, what is up, everyone? I'm Naruto, aka Aethel Wolf, and welcome to the Video Game Podcast, the podcast where we talk about why video games are important to us as gamers. Everyone has their own unique story with gaming, and today we're going to be talking to Senor Nicholas Talamantes, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, man. I'm happy to be on here talking to you about this stuff.
Dude, thank you so much again for being so willing to spontaneously do this podcast with me. I feel like I asked you like a couple days ago, like 2-3 days ago, and you're just like, yeah, I'm game. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
You caught me right before I was off the grid.
I know, man. You just came back from a camping trip, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You kind of you took a little bit of a break from like gaming and stuff. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, me and my partner, we just went and we just read. We just camped,
that's
set up.
amazing.
We're like, we got what we need, and we had our books and we were just reading. It was just peaceful. So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
we need that.
Heck yeah, brother. That's so beautiful. That's amazing, man. Definitely tell. I won't say your name to keep it chill, but tell your partner I say hey. But anyways, man, no, it's amazing. Again, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, bro, let's just kind of jump into this video game talk to give the viewers a little bit of context. My boy Nick, he's one of my closest college friends that I made back in the day. You know, I've obviously moved out to Cali, but he's still one of the real bros, and he's one of my best gaming bros too, bro. He just gets it. He's one of my closest Kingdom Hearts brothers, as I like to see it. So I'm very interested, bro, to see the games that you're gonna talk about today. I feel like we might overlap in some of the games that you mentioned today, but I don't know. That's kind of the beauty. You know, I just kind of want to see a little bit of a Nick Talamantes' gaming history and what led him to be the gamer that he is today, as well as the person who you are today and how gaming might have influenced you. So I'm just going to start with this very important question that I ask anyone who comes on this podcast, which is, Nick, do you consider yourself to be a gamer?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely consider myself to be a gamer. I've
Perfect.
playing games since before I could read. I kind of learned how to read from playing games. Um, and I wouldn't say that I'm like a hardcore gamer. I'm definitely more of a casual player at the end of the
Okay.
day. I'm a gamer through and through, regardless.
I love that. I love that. And see, I love that I didn't even have to lead into the second question, which is going to be why? Why do you consider yourself to be a gamer? Because there's a certain level of community that comes with saying, yeah, I'm a gamer. But why, you already mentioned it, you're kind of a more of a casual gamer, which is completely fine. But why is it that gaming is important to you? What do you get out of it? Again, I've told you, like, some people have deeper reasons for why they do it, while for others it's just like a nice little form of escapism because it's a fun time or whatever. Where do games land for you, especially since you've been playing them since before you could read, which is amazing.
Yeah, I think that games. I mean, games are gaming is such a wide, reaching, stretching medium that
Facts.
there's so many different reasons why I would, you know, choose to engage with video games. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's that are so focused on the story and the values they're trying to communicate or the questions they're trying to ask you as the
Mm-hmm.
player. Um, there's ones that are all about experiences.
Mm, mm.
To leave your space that you're in and be transported someplace else, which is a whole other thing too, where that
Yes.
escapism, like you mentioned. So there's a lot of different reasons. I know that for me, I love games with a good story, but
Yes.
I also love having something to just kind of fidget with, like
Mm-hmm.
Sonic the Hedgehog is like a great
Mm-hmm.
example. It's easy to like pick up and start playing a few levels and stuff and put it away, and just have that to fidget with. You're not too worried about the story. You're just
Oh, I Uh-oh. We lost Nick. We
Drop.
we lost you for a little bit there, buddy. You kind of cut out. You said there's here. Try saying something right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that draw me towards gaming.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. No, thank you, man. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I'd have to say that that's one of my biggest draws towards gaming. I think, the same way you kind of mentioned Sonic, there's some games I like to play that I call a little bit more quote unquote mindless. Maybe you came back from like a long day of work, or like you're just kind of looking to sit down and like you said, fidget with, right? You're going to play it, but maybe you're not in the mentality of like, I'm about to sit down and transport myself into a different universe, which gaming does give us that luxury. If you get into it, like, dude, gaming is art, man. Gaming is art, and it's awesome that it can provide us that little bit of relief every now and then to just like, I just kind of want to play something mindless. But if you're in the right mood to get into a deep story where you feel like you've been transported to another world, I personally think it's almost better than a book or a movie, because I can actually feel like I'm in it, right? Making different things. Sometimes it might be as simple as like, oh, I just broke a box, but it's like, I did that. I played that role in the story. So I don't know, man. That's beautiful. I think it's a great way to lead into the podcast, because it's true, man. Everybody games for different reasons. Would you say then, yeah? What's your biggest appeal towards gaming then? I guess like if you had to kind of pin it to one or two things, like what is it that you most gain from gaming? And if it's multiple things, that's fine. But
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I really like emotional stories, and I like being able to be drawn in and connect with characters, and getting to see their journeys and see their struggles and how they work through that, um,
mm,
for better or for worse. And so I like seeing those interpersonal relationships. Right now, I'm definitely in the mood for playing some JRPGs, so I'm looking for something to
nice.
play. And a big part of that is that I want to see some characters. I want to see a party, a team with some interactions and some
Yes,
relationships and all that. So
it's
uh,
beautiful.
that's a big draw towards gaming for me.
It's beautiful. I was literally, as you were talking about that, the first game that came to mind was Xenoblade, and I know we had already kind of talked about that. I was gonna ask you if you ever played it, but I guess before we dig into that, I was gonna say, could you send me the link of one of the first video games that you can? Okay, get two things, two games, right? First
Mm.
one is, what's the first video game you remember playing? Like just from like ever. Second one is, what's the first video game that you remember playing that really left a mark on you? And then we're gonna kind of talk about those. So if you could send me a YouTube link with just like a long play of whatever those games are, if you gotta think about it for a little bit again, like this is, I can edit this out. So
Yeah. So I think the very first game I ever played, if I can remember correctly, is the Pokemon games, Pokemon Red, Blue, and later on, right after that, Yellow.
let's
My
go, baby.
I grew up when I was growing up. I had an older sister. She was 10 years older than me. Born in the late '80s, so she definitely had the full-on '90s kids experience.
Oh
And
wow.
so, as growing up, she would hand down a lot of things to me, and so I'd actually almost be a generation behind my peers. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
when the Game Boy Advance is popping off, I'm there with the Game Boy Color. When the
Yeah,
DS,
yeah,
I just now got a Game Boy Advance.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
A little bit, behind in that, like PlayStation 3 was out, and I was just getting to the PlayStation 2.
That's
Um,
crazy, bro.
but that was because that was handed down to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember the first thing that she gave me was, hey, you know what? Actually, I got it right here.
Oh my gosh. I was. Go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
this
What?
Game Boy Color first game.
Bro.
Here's a copy of Pokemon Blue. I got red. To
Dude.
be honest, I don't know where yellow's at.
That's
But yeah,
crazy.
the first things that I ever really played, I remember, you get to the lab in the beginning,
Yeah.
and Stroke's telling you to pick a starter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to leave and go catch Pokemon, and I'm like,
Yes.
what's happening? I know I'm supposed to like battle my rival here, but like, what's
Yeah.
happening? Yo, I couldn't read. I didn't know he was telling me to pick a Pokemon off the table.
That's
Like,
crazy.
so
That's crazy.
yeah, I remember when in kindergarten when I started to learn, how to read, it was like, okay, like spending a lot of hours with my Game Boy outside of
Yeah,
school was important because I was learning to read as I was going. Even
that's
Pokemon
amazing.
Pokemon moves, you think that maybe that might be like a weird thing to think of like an attack as like vocabulary, but it all
I
builds up like
mean,
smoke screen. What is like enduring, like right? Like
yes.
those are all different moves and stuff. And even when I was learning Spanish,
Mm.
oh, you're like, okay, I know how Pokemon goes. Like, I can play through it in a different language. And then when you
Hmm.
do it, wait a minute, what are all their moves? What are all of
Bro.
them?
Oh my
It
gosh.
it's different.
That's dude, that's so amazing. That's so I think even just from like the beginning of this whole thing, like how you said that they were handy downs from like your sister, right? I think gaming it's so beautiful that like I don't know if you felt like there's always kind of been that connection then with your sister because you didn't just go and get it yourself, right? You got it from someone. And I feel like that's maybe hopefully made it a little bit more special. Um, and I think something that in the first episode Ryan Keel talked about too was the whole reading thing. So something that his parents did with him was like the first game that he chose to talk about was The Legend of Zelda. It wasn't the first game that he played, but it was just like that Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. That was like his first one. He was like, bro, I need to talk about this game. It was like super influential in my childhood. And he said that the what his parents did was like they he really wanted to play that game, but they didn't let him play that game until he learned how to read. So it was kind of like an incentive. It's like you will get to play this game once you learn how to read. So then Ryan was going out of his way to learn how to read. So and that's just so cool, man. I love that you have a your own story with like spending hours in the game learning the vocabulary, learning the new moves, and like how to use that in real life, bro. Like that's just so cool, man. That's so cool. It kind of makes me wish I would have, in a way, I think, learned how to read with gaming, but I have my own little things with it too when I was younger. So that's amazing, man. That's beautiful. That's so cool. Um, and yeah, let's see. Anything else that you want to say about maybe Pokemon or I don't know if maybe that's going to come into play later, but go ahead. I don't know if you want to say more.
Definitely could. I will say that the next game there that I spent the most time with as a kid was Pokemon Gold version. We had a silver version, but its battery was like loose, so it wouldn't actually
Oh,
save. You could hear it in
oh,
the. So I had a Pokemon Gold, and I put like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours.
bro. Oh
I
my gosh.
ran out of things to do, so I was beating the Elite Four like 66 times to grind my level 100 because I wanted all of the 100.
That's so
Um,
cool.
with Chikorita considered the worst starter of the region.
Oh, bro, Chikorita. But I feel like because of that, she's got to hold a special. Oh, sorry. They have to hold a special place in your heart, right? Bless you. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Chick definitely. And then my first console game that I
Ooh.
like memory. This is like a niche thing even among gamers. I would say
Yes,
is
sir.
so the Sega Saturn was a bigger system. The
Yeah.
Sega, the Sega Genesis was a bigger system. The Sega Saturn was a system that came after that. It was pretty much, I think it was the last major system that Sega made before they like stopped doing consoles altogether. And there
Okay.
were games made for the Saturn, but my sister had one, and she had this game
That's
called,
crazy.
and I played Bug, and it's just like this 3D platform, and I'm
Bug.
just absolutely struggling. Um, but yeah, and then I think my first like console game that like the
Uh-huh.
time to play and everything was when my sister handed me a PlayStation 2 and Kingdom Hearts, and I'll stop there.
KH, baby. KH. Oh my gosh. That's so amazing. Really quick before we move on, KH. Bug, is it like a platformer? Like, give me like a little bit of what you remember about that game. What was it like? Because I have no idea. Obviously, it's like a Saturn, like very old, very niche. But I am curious if anyone else who might be listening to this podcast have ever heard of this game. So I don't know if you want to like just describe it a little bit. Like, what are some of your memories of it?
Yeah, it was uh, really pixely because it was early 3D graphics.
Holy
Um,
shoot.
but it was like basically you're on these like floating island stages in the air,
Hmm.
and you are a green. I don't know if he was like an ant, like type of thing.
A green bug.
Bug. the out of a cartoon bug,
Green bug. Yeah.
and I think you jump on spiders. I know it was, like I said, it was like 3D platform. I'm pretty sure you could
3D platforming.
Direction of the camera across like 4 different angles from 360 degrees all around. So
That's crazy.
It was like that. I remember, I think the farthest I would ever make it was like level 3, and I was like,
oh my gosh. Bro, that's it's so funny too. Like that's something that I guess we can talk more about with the future games that you're gonna talk about. But dude, the amount of games that I have that like when I was younger, I only got up to a certain point, and then going back as an adult and being like, nah, bro, I'm about to actually like beat this game or get this far. Like it's just so cool. Maybe not even as an adult, but just like from that point where you're like a child and you don't know what you're doing to okay, maybe a teen, and you're like, this is how you play the game. This is how I can actually beat it. Like. That's just so crazy, man. Have you ever gone back and played Bug?
No, because I mean, from what I understand, there's not even a lot of good, if any, good emulators for Sega Saturn.
Ooh, I think yeah.
I've recently gotten more into like video game hunting, and I was over at a comic book shop that I didn't even know had like retro video games there for sale, and they apparently there's a sequel called Bug 2, and
Get out town.
I would grab this, but I don't have a system to play it.
I don't have a system. Ah, dude. We gotta do a thing. Like, man, it's like companies and Nintendo don't want us to emulate games, but then it's also like, bro, we gotta there's gotta be a way to make these games eternal, bro. Like, what if you do, just for nostalgia's sake, someday want to go back and play Bug, and now all you have is Bug 2, but you don't even got the console to play it on, or not even just that, but sometimes like, do you even have the right TV to be able to freaking, I don't know, man, it's crazy, crazy, but
that was a really big one with like preservation and like the tools of the time, right? Like like one of those ones when you talk about the TV, you need the CRT done to react to it.
Exactly.
A good thing they ported it to the Wii U that now it's like through with the Wii remote or whatever, so like at least you can play it on a modern TV just fine.
Exactly. I'm all for ports. I think a lot of people get really like sensitive and they're really hardcore about some games that get some ports, bro. But like at the end of the day, if we're able to preserve the game, and maybe it's not exactly how it was, but if it's something, man, like I'm all about it, bro. I say let's port it, because too many games get lost that way. So yeah, man. Well, awesome. So what is it? It's loading for me. Oh, baby. Okay, good. Okay. I knew we were gonna have overlap. But this makes me so friggin' happy. Okay, this isn't the first time that we've talked about this game on the pod, but I do not care. Each episode is unique and tailored to the person who I have on, and at the end of the day, I just want to talk about the games that are special to them. And again, we may have talked about this game on the pod before, but what made it special to my brother Gabe might be very different from what makes it special to Nick. So, my G, Señor Talamantes, okay, brief, like 3 minute little explanation on what Kingdom Hearts 2 is, and let's just leave it with that. What is Kingdom Hearts 2, man? What is this?
Well, given from the perspective that this was the first game that I started with, what I understand is that I get to be a character who gets to go into levels, based off of Disney movies that I loved watching. And for me, I've always wanted to explore those worlds more. Like, I don't movie. I want to look at that space. I want to understand the architecture of the building and stuff but I want to understand the layout of the town and the city and the world beyond just what we're seeing, shot to shot in the film. That was
straight up, man.
Like, me, it was an opportunity to explore some fictional worlds that I was familiar with.
I have to jump in and comment on that, because like, bro, like that same appeal that you have towards it is what makes me just hold this game to such a high regard. The entire series, really, like, what other game other than like Smash maybe, but really allows you to just you have all these other worlds that you already enjoy from films when you were a kid, but getting to put yourself in that world and, like you said, explore the architecture and really just be like, what is this world, man? Like, I could not agree more that that was like my biggest appeal to it when I was a child. I was like, this is so cool. Like, I didn't even know this could be a thing, but oh my gosh, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. So, what in terms of like, let's say someone's never played it and they ask you about the gameplay. Like, what kind of a game is it? Is it a turn-based game? Is it an action? Like, what kind of? How would you describe it?
Yeah, so genre-wise, it's considered a action RPG. So
Yeah.
any RPG means that you are leveling up a character. So it's not just the same like you in another type of game, like Zelda, for example. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
combat you start with are what you're finishing the game with typically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In an RPG, you're gonna level up. So you're going to
Yep.
get stronger, faster. You know, you're going to get new abilities, new ways to fight or interact with the world around you. And then typically with just the term RPG,
Mm-hmm.
it could be something where you're sitting and taking turns. And it's very much almost like a card game with somebody else where you're sitting and taking turns. But with
Very
an
strategic.
yeah, but with an action RPG, it's like no, there's no pause. It's live. It's happening right now. So like you're fighting in that moment. There's there's no pause. You got to get your
Mm-hmm.
stuff in that moment if you can. And with
Mm-hmm.
especially with Kingdom Hearts in the first game, sometimes navigating through menus in the middle of a freaking battle is difficult.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh. No, that's amazing, man. I think that's a great description of it too. I think that's part of the beauty of Kingdom Hearts too, especially as a kid. I my first turn based was a Final Fantasy game, and I played that when I was like a little bit older. But I'm really grateful. Like, Kingdom Hearts is just such an easy game to get into because, like, yes, it can be hard, but
mhm.
the concept's really simple. You're walking around smacking, enemies with a stick, with a key. So like it's not like it's hard for a kid to grasp as to how to play it. But it is fast paced and it does have its things that make it really hard, bro. Like, did you ever on like your first run of Kingdom Hearts 1 beat Sephiroth?
No, I don't even think I knew it was a thing.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Did I was like, yeah, I already know it's not gonna go well.
That's yeah.
Quite a bit older that I tried it out, and I, got stomped every time.
Got wrecked.
I've never really put in to beat it. I've beaten the secret bosses, most of the secret bosses in like Birth by Sleep and
mm.
Dream Drop Distance had like one secret boss that was like okay, but I've never really
Mm.
beaten the ones in Kingdom Hearts 2 and even Kingdom Hearts 1, like the final mixes and stuff. Like those bosses are intense, and
Yeah.
there were a couple hidden bosses actually in Kingdom Hearts 1 that I did go back and I challenged myself, and I
Yeah.
probably fought it like I think it was around like 14 times that I fought Kurt Sisa,
14.
which was like
Oh.
Acrobat that was named after the fan of the
I
game.
re- I remember that the like snake looking thing with the balls,
Uh,
right? Yeah.
yeah, that one took me a few times, but no, I mean with uh, Kingdom Hearts, I mean it's definitely a challenge. You'll be
Mm-hmm.
fighting Kingdom Hearts 2. You fight Zaldin and you get taken out, and you're like, dang, I mean, this guy's tough.
It's
There's a
crazy.
reason he comes in there. There's a reason
Yeah.
why you get that. But yeah, those games were an interesting place to start with. I didn't know what was going on whatsoever. I'm sure a lot of people
Yeah.
didn't know Kingdom Hearts, regardless whether you were a fan or not in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I like the aesthetic of this world. I like the
Yes.
aesthetic of people's like clothes and outfits in this. I like the way that Roxas looked and everything. And
Bro.
that I just knew
I
I used because I was like the boy on the back of the box, the front of the box. The box for the first game is Sora, and
yeah.
I know with Donald and Goofy, and that's about all I know. And
Yeah.
I'm, but I don't what's happening, um, and yeah, so it was just confusing. But I was like, I'm not here for. At that point in time, I was not there for the story,
yep.
right? I'm there for and that's another thing when we talk about like why are you here for the games? A lot of
Yep.
times it's gameplay. That's why you're there for it. You just want something that's fun or engaging. And that was, that was enough of a draw. And if you talk about Kingdom Hearts 2, what's considered the best game in the franchise, I mean, that one's got
Yeah.
fluid gameplay that holds up to this day.
Bro, for facts, for facts. A lot of things I want to comment on. I think really quick on the whole outfits thing, bro. To this day, I think a huge reason why I like wearing kind of like baggy pants or baggy jeans, bro, is because of freaking Kingdom Hearts. I used to think that style was so cool, bro. And to this day, like I'll be wearing like these sweatpants that are like 2XL and they'll be all big on me and it's comfortable and I think I look cool. So whatever.
And
um but
Nomura's character designs, that's what he's known for. And I mean,
yeah.
especially at the time, I think that the chains were really big in that game. And I know
The
in the
chains and the belts.
yeah, and the belts, yep, those were really big. And I think they still kind of look good. I mean, they're definitely a image of the past. But I mean, the newer games he's used like plaid as this thing, which I thought was a
Yeah.
little. But
We can be real here because at the end of the day, like this is your story, bro, and you can, don't be afraid to just be real because I know for me, KH2 Sora with the black fit and all his like final forms, bro, like or all the dry forms, bro, so good,
definitely peak.
so good, bro, peak. I think that's the best way to put it. Like for me personally, like KH3 Sora, like I kind of learned to like grow to like his aesthetic, but it's still not my top. Like I like way more how he looks here. KH4 Sora is something to talk about. It's also he looks different.
There's
Um
gravity defying abilities. It's getting ahead
yep.
older, I guess. So I'm like, oh, he's looking more and more like a Final Fantasy protagonist as he goes on.
Yes. More of like a real less cartoonish version, right? More a little bit more real. So that's going to be very interesting to we can maybe talk about some theories and explore that. But what something I was going to ask now the big important thing is like I know you've kind of already touched on it, but like yeah, do you have anything else to say about like why this game or this series is so important to you? You know, I know for like my brother, a big thing that he loves about the Kingdom Hearts game, which I'm getting the vibe that for you it's something different, which is why it's great to have these conversations. But Gabe loves the challenge, bro. Like Gabe's favorite thing about Kingdom Hearts is going against Yozora or oh my god, in Kingdom Hearts 2, the freaking Terra's armor. What's it called?
The lingering sense.
Lingering Will. Lingering Will. Lingering Will. He loves putting it on like critical, like the hardest difficulty, like putting a bunch of modifiers and just like hundreds and hundreds of tries. And it could be there like for hours and trying. And then he does it, he beats it, and he's like, I'm so freaking happy. And he like loves it. For me, that's never been the appeal. But he loves that part of it. So I was gonna ask you, what makes Kingdom Hearts so special to you and like why?
I've talked to Gabe, and I know he also started with the second game.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I can get in moods where I'm like, okay, I want a challenge, but I mean, I've never been like that, especially with their bosses are like broken.
Same, bro.
But
Same.
I think like Unknown Figure or whatever it is from Birth by Sleep is considered.
Birth by Sleep. Yep.
I think the characters
Characters. Okay.
are what grew on me. I remember really enjoying this relationship between Naminé and Roxas, and then seemed that kind of come to a head in Kingdom Hearts 2 in the finale. It's really bittersweet that they're with their other halves, and they're like, well, we'll be together every day because Sora and Kairi will be together every but they don't necessarily get to their own people either. And then in the end of those
light spoilers, but keep going.
the great thing about like the Kingdom Hearts games is that you kind of get that reward at the end of getting those like extra fine cinematics at the end. And just with the music, Kingdom Hearts 2 had the best ending, the happiest, most conclusive ending of the series. And there's just that moment where Sora and Kairi are looking at each other and you see the flash of Roxas and Naminé.
Oh yes, that was so beautiful. Bro. Oh, I'm so glad that you get it. That like there's two, like at the end of the game, like that one always got to me. Or at the end of the first game when they're like holding hands and like they're getting separated and Sora says something like, "Oh, I'll always be with you," and she's like, "I know you will." And then they let go, and then the music starts. When you walk away, I'm just like, bro, the
Yeah. I-
feels.
Even I really liked seeing Sora and Riku, who have that rivalry,
Oh yeah.
each other, also find a reason to not, they're like, well, I have something that you'll never have. And he's like, what's
Mm-hmm.
that? Having you as a best friend. And I
Ah.
thought that's a really good line. I mean, Cage doesn't have the best writing, if I'm being honest. Like,
Yeah. We can be real.
it's kind of cringy going back to, but
Yes, sir.
moments, and especially that was really good. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciated seeing those relationships, and that really like meant a lot for me. I would replay the final boss all the time just to watch those cutscenes over again.
Oh, yes, sir, dude. That's amazing. That's so amazing, bro. And I couldn't agree more. And it's funny because even as we were just talking about it, like initially you didn't really know what was going on in the story, but the gameplay was just fun, bro. It's just a fun game to play. You get to go to these different worlds, explore. It's amazing. And then you grow up and you're like, oh my gosh, this game actually has heart to it, and the story and the relationships. And one of my favorite things about stories are squads and relationships and feeling that bond and seeing that bond. Like that's one of my favorite things about RPGs. Starting off a game with like this random party of strangers, and then you see them go through this huge adventure together, and by the end they're like best friends, and you're like, I feel like I'm a part of the squad. Like it's just amazing, bro.
Yeah.
Um, and
I mean,
uh huh.
sometimes, I mean, like even with the show, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, sometimes when you go back and watch the show, it's like going back and seeing old friends. And so I know
Dude.
good RPG feels like that too.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
Fire Emblem Awakening. I go back and I feel like I'm going back to see some good old friends there that I haven't seen in a long time when you play it. And you're like, oh man, there's
That's
there's a lot that
that's
still experience with them.
That's so amazing, man. That's so cool that you mentioned that because that's something that we've yet to talk about on this podcast. But bro, like that I can relate to that with so much. Like I feel like there's also times where I'm going through like if I'm ever going through like a really hard time in my life, I have these kind of like comfy video games that I like to come back to. I think maybe I talked about this a little bit with Gabe, but Kingdom Hearts is definitely one of those games that if I'm ever just kind of feeling lost and like, oh dude, like what's going on in my life right now? For me, the first one was Kingdom Hearts 1. So I pop in Kingdom Hearts 1, just getting to see the characters, getting to see those cutscenes. It really is just kind of like, oh my gosh, bro. It takes me back and I feel so good and comfy, and it's just like a safe space. It's a safe space. And then you have Fire Emblem, and I would even, for some people, not necessarily for me because it happened to me when I'm older, but like anime, for example. Like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, like if you talk about like the big real anime like Naruto, like how long that is and how some people grew up watching, Naruto develop and all that, like by the end yeah, let's go represent. Oh, let's go, dude, you just got all the what is this man doing? Let's go. It just quick flex, quick little flex right there. By the way, I want to comment on this too. The fact that you have like an OG Game Boy Color just chilling there with like an OG copy of Pokemon Blue, amazing, bro. Very, very cool.
I did have a friend come in and he was like, "Bro, it's like being in a museum in here." 'Cause I got some stuff, man. I mean, I managed to get an SP a little
Oh,
while back.
look at
I
that.
had one. Did really wanted one. And I don't want to get too far off topic.
It's okay.
This is the Super Gold 97. So before
What?
Gold and Silver came out, 2 years before they came out, there was
What?
Space World 97
Yeah.
that was known for showing off demos, right? Only in Japan.
Yeah.
And that people got to play a demo of Gold and Silver,
Oh my
completely not
gosh.
very, very different of a game. Different
Yeah.
po- different Pokemon that never came out. And all of
What?
that's kind of been restored and filled out into this. So you know,
Dude, that is
it,
so cool and that is so rare. How did you get your hands on one of those? And if someone were to try to get one of those now, like how much do you think that thing runs you?
oh, I mean, so a little while back, a few years ago, Pokemon Company got hacked. Game Freak got hacked.
Ooh,
A bunch of information, data got leaked, including the demos, which is how people found out about the other. Like, actually
that's
got to
crazy.
see the Pokedex and stuff.
That's
So you can
crazy.
find these. People have built these out, and you can find these all over online, like
Oh,
AliExpress.
okay.
Bay. This was like
Oh, okay.
bucks, and so this is like getting to play the Pokemon Gold that we could have had in an alternate universe. Um,
Wow.
Gen 2, if you have nostalgia for that like I do, and you want to like get a new experience that's very
That's
familiar, like there you go.
that's
Get
such a gem. Like that's so cool. And again, this is kind of also why I really like doing these podcasts. Where like I love video games, I love Pokemon. I never knew that. I never knew that. And like, hey, there we go. Now I know something new, and that's so freaking cool, man. Definitely like even just the whole idea of like kind of we can even kind of bringing it back to Kingdom Hearts a little bit. I know like when I was younger, I played the original Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, and then I would see on YouTube all the fights, like the secret fights with all these other character, like yeah, you know what I'm saying, like all the final mix stuff, and I'd be like, bro, I want to do that. Like, what the heck? And then I found out that it was like a different version, blah blah blah, and now I get to play it, but it's kind of cool because it's like yeah, like an alternate universe of or a more complete Kingdom Hearts, I guess you could say. But really quickly, eh, okay, I think
there's
I oh, the OG Fire Red, bro. Yo, are all these like OG copies too, or are they like low key like
those are originals. Those are
that's
originals.
that's hype, dude. That's hype. I don't even have OGs of like though. I think for me, like everyone kind of like builds their collection differently, right? But like I have, Gen 3 upwards almost every game. At least one from that generation. You know what I mean? Like I might not have like Emerald or sorry, like Sapphire and Ruby, but I have Sapphire. You know what I mean? Or like I might not have like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but I have Heart Gold. You know what I mean? So Gen 3 upwards, I have one of every generation. But it's just because I started with Gen 3. So, I haven't really felt there we go. Oh jeez.
Other ones growing up, but we lost them. So Sapphire is the only one that I have a legit copy of. Um,
Surviving, bro.
and since we're talking about Kingdom Hearts, there's a Chain of Memories.
Woo! OG Chain of Memories, bro. Oh, that's amazing.
I don't know, how far off topic we are, and such, but
No. Please continue. Please continue.
talking about, you said your first RPG. Um, what was it? What'd you say it was?
My first RPG? I don't know if I talked about that yet.
I thought you said that you had a base.
Oh yeah. Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was my first RPG. Like
Yeah,
turn based. Turn based.
was it?
Oh,
Which,
for me it was Final Fantasy 10.
okay, yeah, I've played a little bit of like barely any, but I played a little bit of 10.
Fair.
I think this was my first RPG. If you don't count Pokemon,
Yeah.
this was Robopon 2.
What?
This was published by Atlas, and I know you know Atlas. And
Woo! I love me some Atlas, bro.
Atlas is like terrible about keeping their games accessible, and so that's why Atlas games like buy them because they go up in price. It's hard to
Yep.
find them. So the original Robopon, the first version of Robopon was meant to be pretty much an exact copy of Pokemon.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch gameplay of it, it looks identical. Character sprite, but the sequel here they did a little bit different, and so it's more like a Final Fantasy type of RPG. And so I had this growing up. This was like my first experience with that. And sometimes, yeah, when I'm looking for a game, I'm looking for something that kind of gives me that kind of feel. And but you're building your own monsters, so it's not the same as having relationships with characters. But I think a game for me was like the next spiritual step for this was Bravely Default. I got that.
Ah, yes.
So the combat is similar, very similar, but you have a party that in a beautiful art style, and so you get to see those relationships build and everything.
That's so cool.
And that game is really good. When I got that, man, that's all I played for like a week for like 13 hours a day, and like
Bro, that's so cool though, man. I love all these little hidden gems that just kind of get brought out while playing these games. Again, like that's why it's kind of nice to be able to just kind of go back through, down memory lane and talk about these things because, like, I don't know, like how often you think about that game or these other games that we're talking about. But what was the name of that game one more time?
Robopon.
Robomon?
Robopon. Like,
Robopon. Okay, Robopon. All right, that's amazing. Well, yeah, yo, comment down below if you've ever played Robopon and get to connect with my boy Nick here on this little gem of a game, you know. All right, bro. I'm totally fine that we went off topic because Pokemon is so special to me, and that's why I can talk about it for hours. Just because to finish up, oh, you got the Pokewalker, bro, the OG Pokewalker, bro. I love that you shake your head. You're like, bro.
Yeah. No, it's just because I'm just showing stuff off now. But yeah,
it's good.
It was
You have a milk tank.
I put a new battery in there, and I had a Cubone that was in there for like 10 plus years.
What?
So I got Cubone out. I put a milk tank in there because I still have my silver with like my original save file. So like,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so freaking cool. I know for a fact I have a Pokewalker too. It's in my stuff. I have no idea. I have to get a new battery for it. Like it's definitely dead. But that's so cool, bro. And you've just inspired me to go back and do that.
It's like $2 for a new battery, and like
Easy.
They're easy to find. I can get you a screwdriver if you need one. I have a lot of extras.
Easy. I only now wish we still lived in the same state. See, bro, me and Nick, yo, we're boys, dude. Like, I really wish we could, but hey, man, that's okay. You're gonna make a trip out here some point, right? I hope someday.
Someday soon.
Ooh, okay, there we go. We can leave it at that. Okay, really quick before moving on from Pokemon. Let's not get too controversial here, but you can just get real with me. Favorite generation and top 3 Pokemon. Go.
You said my favorite Pokemon.
Top 3 Pokemon and your favorite generation.
That's really hard, man.
I know.
For me, I have like the most nostalgia and connection for Generation 2 and Generation 4. And, you know, there's remakes of Generation 2 and Generation 4. But, like, the sprite work of original Gen 2 games are, like, so nostalgic.
You can't compare.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say Gen 4. I didn't appreciate
Gen
Gen 5 when they came out. Now I appreciate them a lot more.
No, you do. A lot of people have that feeling, bro.
I mean, I didn't know that it was supposed to be like a reboot, so I still think it's still hard for me to go back to because I think the Pokemon designs are really ugly in that generation, if I'm being honest.
Dang, bro. Hey. Zoroark is dope, though.
Zoroark is dope, yeah.
There's a couple from that gen, like the Volcarona.
Axorus.
Axorus Axew, like, bro, there's some dope ones. Like Volcarona is also dope, like. But I agree. I don't know if you're talking about Trubbish or like the ice cream cones. Like I don't even know the names.
You know, I don't mind those that much, but I just think I don't know. There's just a lot of different monsters that they just didn't quite. If I go back to it, I'm not excited to find them.
Fair.
For other generations or other ones, which is another thing that I really want to say is that when it comes to like monster collectors or like Pokemon with Scarlet and Violet that came out, for years I have been looking at Cerebi as they like went over the leaks or as the Pokemon, and now I don't do that because I think there's like a magicalness to like discover the first time, and you're like, oh, what is this? And then when you find out what it falls into, you're like, oh wow, this is like amazing. It really is discovery that I feel like being chronically on the internet has taken away.
Dude, for Pokemon Legends Arceus, I straight up, because the leaks were just coming, so for all these different Hisuian forms, I just ended up making like a video reacting to all the different freaking Pokemon, but with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I got to have that experience where I was like, nope, I'm not gonna look anything up, and I don't care, and like I'm just gonna like play through it blind, and you know that feeling of like, oh, like you said, running into a Pokemon and like having no idea what it's gonna evolve into. I love that, but I also got a little bit disappointed with Pwami. Do you know who Pwami? Do you recognize Pwami, bro? Pwami, so adorable, so cute. You find him right away, and I was like, bro, this dude's so cute. I hope he evolves into like a beast. And then his second evolution, like he just kind of stands up. And, like, he's just a little bit bulkier. And then his third evolution is he's fully standing and he's just like a big teddy bear. And I was like, I mean, it's okay, but it's just like, it was one of those reverse moments where it evolved and I was like, this is so disappointing.
I hear you. I was not disappointed with Fido. Fido, yeah, I was really excited
Oh,
about that. I was like, oh man, he could even have variants of evolutions. But
dude.
as the one, but I was he's very cute both ways. I'm very
I
happy.
I agree. I think Fido's evolution was dope. And again, there's still a lot of great ones. I mean, like in every generation, there's always going to be Pokemon that some people vibe with a little bit more and that others don't. But no, I mean, that's gonna happen every time, right? With every gen. Okay. Closing the Pokemon conversation real quick. Top 3 Pokemon. Go.
That's so hard, man.
I
Uh,
know.
Probably, I know you're gonna agree with this one. Probably Lucario. I think I was really good with Lucario when I was growing. I think Bulbasaur has always been my pick for one.
Yeah.
And I guess Deoxys. I really like Deoxys a lot.
Ooh.
And the movie with Deoxys and Rayquaza was like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sure, if I put more thought into it, I might struggle more. But just off the top of my head, probably
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be real like that. I mean, again, like if you ask me, I think every time people ask, the list changes a little bit, and I think that's okay. We're just real fans, bro, and it'd be like that. It'd be like that. We're 2 for 3. Bulbasaur, one of my Pokemon that like I always go for Gen 1. He's always just held a little special place in my heart. And obviously Lucario is my favorite Pokemon of all time. That's just a thing. Although Cerulege from the latest generation, bro, really got me thinking like, whew.
It's really nice. Yeah, both that one and the one with the cannon.
Armorage. Yeah, there's Cerulege and Armorage, and like Armorage is dope, but like Cerulege, bro, he straight up looks like a Heartless. Like he's so cool, bro.
He does. He looks like one of the Night Heartless. Yeah, I see that.
He does. He looks so cool, bro. But anyways, all right, man. All right, well, thank you, Senor Talamantes. Really quick, let's just to finish out now the Kingdom Hearts portion of this. I always this is what some people kind of struggle with, but I'm gonna put you in the situation with Kingdom Hearts, and I'm gonna ask you to answer 3 questions for me. Okay, I'm gonna ask you to rate Kingdom Hearts in terms of your childhood. Like when you were a childhood, this game was a blank out of blank. All right, out of 10, like what would you give it the score as? Then you got a little bit older. You look back on Kingdom Hearts right now. You play it now. Give me a more realistic take as to what you would rate the game now. As an adult, playing it now, a blank out of blank. Like tell me how whether the points went up or the points went down. Just kind of be real. And then thirdly, if you were to give Kingdom Hearts 2 a rating for like the common gaming public that you think most people would be like, that's a fair rating, maybe taking a little bit of our bias aside. But the first 2 ratings are very personal to you, and if they're both 10s, bro, that's completely normal. I mean, that's what Gabe did. But what I'm trying to do here is, you play the game as a kid and you feel one way. You play it 10, 15 years later, you might change your opinion a little bit. So, or sometimes you don't, or sometimes it goes up. So I would love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, specifically with the second game, because that was like the first one that I played. As a child, that was I think I would only say, I don't even think I could hold that against the game. I was gonna give it like a point down because I couldn't understand what was the story. But I mean, I followed it. To be fair, I jumped into what was technically the 3rd game in the series. So I can't really hold that against it. So I would probably still give that like a 10 out of 10 to be honest. Because
a 10 out of 10.
You look at games, from like action games back in the day are very much like hack and slash. There's not a whole lot of back that come to mind. If you look at the 3D platforming of it, definitely so much smoother, so much more well put together than any other, around that time. You look at graphics, smoothness of everything. There's not lag in the game, and there's so much going on the screen at times. You might have 10 enemies up there, and you're flying around and shooting spells and doing whatever else. So there's particle effects everywhere, and the game handles it fine.
Yes, dude.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of a bad thing that I started with Kingdom Hearts 2. It's hard to appreciate other games when they're not meeting that standard.
That's fair, bro. That's completely fair to say, man.
So, looking back on it, like getting a little bit older and going back to it, I think the only things that maybe don't hold up as well still for me is the dialogue. I go
Yep,
back, like some of this isn't so great, but
I agree.
you, the heart of things, I still have. I'm still emotionally moved by
Yep,
moments in the game, which shows that they're doing a well enough job
yep.
overall. To
Facts.
happen. Um, so I would probably
Facts.
still give it like a 10 out of 10. Like the
10 out of
explorable
10.
are still a good size. This
Yeah.
is okay, this is something I want to say, right? When you talk
Say it.
about a game that influences how you play games for the rest of your life, uh, Kingdom Hearts, Square Enix games as a general are kind of a bane because I think they turn me into a completionist because you have
Oh!
and not only that, but like you need to explore every nook and cranny to get everything, like hidden
Yeah.
things. And now I can't just play through a story in like 10 hours. Like I'm sitting there for
Yeah.
30, exploring every corner, looking for every secret.
Yeah.
A lot of games aren't even built with secrets and stuff, so I'm just walking around for no reason. But
Oh.
that way. But I really appreciate that. I love that it incentivizes that exploration. So, and then giving it a rating from someone who doesn't have the bias, probably give it like a 8 out of 10, maybe.
Solid.
I think that once again, it just kind of comes down to story and dialogue. If you're just
Yep.
jumping into really know anything about it, uh, otherwise, gameplay wise, you're still gonna have a good time. It's gonna be fun.
Exactly.
There's
Exactly.
That's key to everything at the end of the day.
I think those are some very fair ratings, honestly. I think like in all honesty, like you can play for me at least, like I could play a game for the fun gameplay and not give a crap about the story but still love it. I think it would be harder for me to play a game that has a really good story but the gameplay just sucks. Like I
Yeah.
feel like at that point I might just like look up a video or something, you know what I'm saying? But like if the gameplay's fun, I don't care about the story. And then you find sometimes those magical little games that have the great story and great gameplay, and it's just like, oh my gosh, they exist. They exist. But
To go off of that really quickly,
yeah,
really, for me, unless the game was like super super rare and super expensive, I've
yep.
never really been watching someone else play games and
Hmm.
watching a playthrough of a game.
Hmm.
However, when you talk about,
Hmm.
oh, you have a game with a good story but like terrible gameplay, holy crap, man! I was trying to play Jedi Fallen Order, and man, this was buggy. Like
Was it? Oh,
so frustrated from like these
oh
platforming,
no.
just was not picking up the inputs, and like it was just so buggy. And
Yeah.
uh yeah, that was the first time that I was like,
Wow.
I'm not gonna keep playing this. I'm going to watch a playthrough to catch the story. Because yeah, this is
That's
just
fair.
I didn't start playing the game till like this year. So it's
Oh
like they're
really?
out. Like they're done working.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything to make it better at this
That
point.
sucks.
Release it down the line.
That
So
sucks.
I was like, yeah, man, I
It's
can't keep.
unfortunate.
You know,
It's
there's
unfortunate, man.
there's frustration from a challenge, and you're like, okay, I can overcome this, and
Hmm.
then frustration from like just the mechanics of the game just not
Yep.
where they should be. So
Yep. No, bro. That's got to be the absolute word. Luckily, I mean, I've yet to play a game. I think where maybe sometimes I played a pretty. Everybody knows this game came out in a crap state, and it honestly died in a pretty crap state. But Marvel Avengers, I'm sure you heard of a disaster. Did you hear about?
I'll still play it at some point in time for the story. I'm a big Miss Marvel fan, so
If you watch my review on it, I love that game with a fiery passion. Like I put so many. I got the platinum for that game. Like I played the crap out of it, bro. But it was very, very, very buggy, and there were times that I would die or things would happen. I'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like it's just,
yeah.
it was such a mixed feeling. But in terms of like, no hate on my boy Nick here for saying like he couldn't play Fallen Order. I know a lot of people really love that game, and the sequel came out, and everyone's like, "Bro, it's everything that I wanted and so much better." So. Yo, we all got games like that, and it's chill, it's fine. I've had my experience with it. For me, for example, a game that I kind of like, the gameplay, like I just, man, I couldn't get into it. And I did eventually go back and play it when I was older, but when I was younger, I said F it and I just watched the movie. Uh, and I hope this doesn't strike a nerve, but Kingdom Hearts Recoded, or not Recoded, Chain of Memories.
And memories.
I really struggled with like the whole card thing and the making. I would just get frustrated. I'd be like, oh, it's just so annoying, but I really want to find out the story. So I did eventually go back and play it as an adult, and I beat it, and I kind of understood it, but
My sister handed me Chain of Memories on the Game Boy Advance. She already cleared it, so Riku's storyline was already unlocked. So I could
wow.
play either one. I never actually beat Sora's story all the way. I think I would like struggle at like the final bosses or so. But I did. I played through Riku's all the way. It felt easier. You don't have to build your deck; it's pre-built for you.
Yep,
It is possible to win.
for
Um,
sure.
and yeah, man. I mean, that's totally fair. I mean, Chain of Memories is and Rechain of Memories is something that like I think you have to go in with the right perspective, and you can really appreciate
Yep,
it. Like, I really
that
appreciate it. I really like it.
that.
Um, but definitely as a kid, I was like, this is so dumb. This
It's
is
just so dumb.
run out of attacks. Like, this is so dumb.
It's so dumb. But again, then you get older and you can appreciate the strategy and be like, oh, wait, there's more to it. It's actually pretty fun. But yeah, so I was just bringing up an example. Like, I know what you mean. I've been there. But all right, man, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that rating. Let me check real quick how we doing on time. Damn, bro, just like that. It's already been an hour, Senor Talamantes. This is great. I feel like you and I have had really good chemistry with talking about these games. And that's why this has been going on for so long. For I think with most people, usually like an hour in, we're already like 3 games deep, but that's fine. Um, let's. Here's what I love about this. This just means I'm gonna get to have you back, and maybe we could do more episodes where we talk about more games. Because even just right now, I wanted to go on a little bit of a side tangent where you were just talking about like you gotta kind of like approach a game with a certain kind of mentality to really enjoy it. For me, when I was younger, bro, like I wouldn't play games for story. Like I would just be really focused on like the gameplay. So like Atlas games, Persona, bro. I think the first time I played a Persona game, I went into it expecting like a Pokemon type deal, and I was like, I'm gonna just the story's not gonna matter. I'm gonna be really into the gameplay. And that mentality didn't work because if you've ever played a Persona game, it's like the story is the big appeal. Like, yes, the gameplay can be really fun, but the story is the big thing. So, first time I played Persona 4, I was like, bruh, like, this is such a drag. Like, I don't get why it's so. Waited a couple more years, and it wasn't until this year that I played Persona 3, the port for it, and I approached it with this mentality of like, all right, let's play it for the story and understand the gameplay, as it comes. I freaking loved it, dude. It's so good. It's so amazing. It's made me get all these other Shin Megami Tensei games. And I'm gonna, just dive deep into all those, and I'm so excited. But yeah, man, you said that, and I was like, bro, I could not relate to that anymore.
Yeah. I actually have never played a Persona. I played 2 Shin Megami Tensei games. I haven't played them all the way hard as nails, which is fine.
Yep. Yep.
But I actually just bought Persona 5 Golden like a week or two, and I'm like, I think I want to take that dive into it. I also don't know, it's like, okay, the next 120 free hours that I'm gaming are going to be towards this.
And again, it can be beautiful, bro. It can be beautiful, but like you definitely have to approach it with the right mentality of like, all right, I'm about to get lost into this world, and I have to really take my time with it. It's not a game that you want to rush.
Yeah, no, yep. I'm going to be committed. I knew that no matter what, if I was going to pick up a JRPG with good character building and stuff, I was going to be in it for a good number of hours.
Yes, sir.
I recently played a graphic, no, what is it called? Visual novel?
Visual. Did you play the Digimon game? Is that the one, or which one?
The Digimon one. And so it was my first time playing like a visual novel, I think.
Visual novel.
And so now I'm like, okay, I understand that Persona's like that. Like that's a big, heavy amount of Persona. And so I'm like,
yes,
okay, I want that. I like desire that.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
I know it. I can go into it with the expectations of what it's going to be.
I know, again, just like I don't we keep getting off topic, but it's fine. Cuz now really quickly, like, was that game, cuz I think I'm on the same boat with you. Like I saw Digimon, but I saw it like it was more like a visual novel type game. Would you recommend it? Is it good? Would you put it in the top, or is it kind of like mid, average? I don't know. Like,
Um, I my personal feelings would probably rank
personal. Personal.
what I think like the general public would say, and I will be very objective about it here. The gameplay itself, it's a tactics type of game,
Okay.
uh, visual novel, and they say very much in their marketing that it's like 70% visual novel and 30% tactics gameplay. A lot of
Okay.
people still game because they didn't read that, and so they went in with expectations.
Yep.
The tactics is fun, but
Mhm.
it really needs more depth. It's very
Mm.
surface level overall,
Very bare
and
bones.
for how long the game can be,
Yeah.
it's like okay, I would like some more mechanics to work with here.
Okay.
I wish they would make like a sequel to it that would be flesh that out more. I don't think they're
Mhm.
going to. It doesn't seem like
Didn't.
the company really wanted too much more attention on it. They just wanted to get it out,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because I think it's story wise. I think it's really good. If you have nostalgia for Digimon, or you're a fan of Digimon, like me, which I get that from my sister,
There we go.
then
Amazing.
also here's an AirPods case that is a Digimon Digivice, man. But that's just right
Oh,
here. That
that's
was
so
just chance.
cool, bro. I love that. Like, we gotta make a whole video of you just like showing off all these awesome little gadgets you got, bro.
Here's the cord.
It's
But
amazing. It's amazing.
the the visual novel aspect of the game, it's good. It's like if
Okay.
you have the first or so generation of Digimon and you made it more adult. You're like, oh hey, there's real
Okay.
people are actually dying. There's real
Wow.
like people are dealing with, and I mean even
Wow.
original Digimon does a good job of tackling heavy topics like one brother trying to protect the other emotionally from like their parents having a divorce and stuff like that. So
Dang.
the topics they dive into, and I really like this
Yeah.
one. Multiple endings, so it has
Ooh.
there's like 12 chapters. In that chapter 8, there's uh 3 different branches that you can go towards, and that will result in different characters dying, in your Digimon partners having different evolution opportunities,
What?
like a whole completely different levels that you'll be playing on, and different ending overall.
Wow.
And then when you go to play New Game Plus,
Mhm.
uh, through the story faster, and you can also go through those other routes that you didn't go through originally, but now
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
other evolutions that you gained from going the other routes. So you have, that's how you complete the game technically and get all the.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a secret ending on top of that. So there's.
On top of that, that's so crazy, man. No, that's great though.
I'm sure on replays it goes by a lot faster because the first
Mhm.
few like 8 chapters, you're like, I've missed like 3 times. We can go through this stuff.
I can skip this part. No, that makes sense, man. That makes sense. I love that. It sounds like this game really tickled your fancy, you know? Like it was a game for you, you enjoyed it. And I know that's happened to me a lot of times where like I really enjoy a game, but the general public is just kind of not about it. It happened with freaking Marvel Avengers, Square Enix game. I really loved a lot of things about it. People didn't like it. A recent game that it happened with was Marvel Midnight Suns. Did you hear
Mm.
about this game?
Yeah, the trailers and stuff looked really exciting for that, and I was kind of interested in it.
Yeah.
When I came into it, I was just like, I'm not really feeling like playing. It's like card type strategy game, right?
Which is, yeah, and again, completely fair. I think that's how most people viewed it. Like the trailer got people super super hype, and then it's like, oh, it's a card game, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's from the people who made like XCOM. Like, have you ever played an XCOM game?
Yeah, I mean, I have some XCOM games. Yeah.
Okay, for me, like I had to first, like my first love for strategy games came with Fire Emblem, and then Fire Emblem made me really appreciate XCOM. And then this game comes out, and it's like a Marvel card based game with XCOM strategy. And I love Marvel. I'm a massive Marvel fan. So as it is, I was already gonna be super hyped about all the characters. Have you ever played Wizard 101?
I have not played Wizard 101. But you know, like I don't think there's a soul in our generation that doesn't know what Wizard 101.
That's okay. That's fair, bro. That's completely like you haven't played it, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So for a lot of people from our generation, it was like, oh, Wizard 101, and like I was one of the chosen few who really got into that game when I was younger, and it was a turn-based strategy game with cards. So think like okay, like yeah, I mean that's what it was. This new Marvel game is the same kind of strategy that you use in Wizard 101, but you actually got to be an adult about it. Because it's a little bit more complex. It has Marvel characters, which I absolutely love, and it has the whole RPG system where you get to level your characters up and they learn new moves and they do all that. So it's like, for me, freaking perfect 10 out of 10, bro. Like, I love that game so much. I praised it a lot in the review that I made for it, but I also know the common public kind of hated it. You know, like, I was like, they weren't that into it. Go ahead.
I could totally be down for a card game like that. Like I even when I heard that, I was like, I could still be down for that. Not in the mood for it at the moment, but to
Fair.
be. I know there's some other like indie games out that I've been meaning to try that are card game type
Yeah.
strategy like that, and so yeah, I mean I have that experience a lot with movies, especially.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely as like a filmmaker, right? It's
Yes, sir.
harder to be like, oh, that movie that everybody really hates, I actually really like.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Not a lot of like film snob type people, and you're just like, yeah, well, the truth is, I, man, I'm trying to think of a good example right now. I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay. I get what you're saying though. Like I know what you mean, and I think you can just kind of apply the same logic that you do to video games. At the end of the day, you find like kind of like you were just describing. What was the game that made us start talking about this? Digimon. You know, and all the reasons kind of like why you enjoyed it, and I just kind of talked about like Mario and like all the things that I enjoyed about Midnight Suns, but other people don't always appreciate. That's fine, man. At the end of the day, like you do you have your reasons for liking it. If someone's willing to listen to your side and why you consider this art to be beautiful and what you enjoy about it, heck yeah, you know? Hang out with those people. As for the people who are just going to be like, oh, no, it sucks and you're dumb, like, whatever, man. You don't got to talk to those people about that stuff anyways. But nah, man, that's kind of why I want to make this podcast too. Just at least on the more video game side of it. I think there's a lot of hidden gems out there, and there's a lot of video games that maybe people don't appreciate because they don't understand them. Like, I know for me, again, Persona was a perfect example for that. I always was like, bro, all the hype for Persona, I tried it once, I didn't like it, but then I approached it with different mentality, and I freaking loved it. And there's so many games like that, like Monster Hunter. Not the newest one, not Monster Hunter Rise, but Monster Hunter Worlds.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like I was like, dude, this game looks awesome. Everyone's so hype about it. But then when I tried it, I was not into it, and I'm like, I gotta be doing something wrong here because like the visuals are amazing, the everything just looks so cool, but I don't know why I'm not that into it. And then with Monster Hunter Rise, I had Journey on the podcast. He's super addicted to it. He kind of explained a little bit more about the game and why he's into it and how to get into it. And I'm like, bro, now when I come back to that game, give it another shot, it's gonna be different. So, that's another reason why I'm kind of like doing this whole thing. So,
we're touching a lot on perspective going into, and the perspective, you know, right? That seems to be a lot of what this episode seems to be about.
That's a big theme, bro. Yeah, I think you just helped me. I'm good. The title of this video is not gonna have to do with that, man. Like, thank you. Great. I love that. And I love that it came about so organically. Like, that's my favorite part. Like, at the end of the day, like, we didn't have to plan it. Like, we're just kind of talking about it, just kind of what happened. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I have probably like 4 more games I could talk about, but I mean, briefly, since we're talking about expectations.
Yes, sir.
This was the racing game that I played growing up, Burnout 3.
What? Burnout?
Brother about racing games too, because he taught me a little bit more about how like there's arcade racing, which is more game like, and then there's realistic racers, and then you have versus something else, and Burnout is a game where it's all about the destruction. It's about battling the other racers and the physics of the game. You're tearing up cars. If you're in a race and you get wrecked, There's literally a button for you to hold down and watch your car getting wrecked in slow motion, and then for you to get to influence where the momentum of the car and where it's going with the wreck to give yourself bonus points, because even when you're
That's so cool.
and playing the game. So
That's so freaking cool.
expectations for me of what I wanted out of racers. And then when I was playing, like, trying out some new Need for Speed games or Forza or something like that, I was just disappointed. They're not bad games. They're just, it wasn't what I was looking for. I was like, don't let you wreck people too.
Bro, it's so funny. Burnout 3 specifically, you can talk about it with my brother. Like, Gabe, he loves Burnout, and I'm not into car games. I'm not. Like, I love video games, and I consider myself a very versatile gamer. Car games is like the one genre that I just can't really find myself to get into. Burnout 3, though, in Burnout Paradise, I don't know if you ever played Burnout Paradise.
I played a little bit.
A little bit, like, it's just, yeah, it's Burnout, and I loved it because it was about crashing cars and having fun and getting more points for the cooler, the stronger the crash. And I was like, bro, this is so different. Like, it's so cool. So, man, that's great. That's great. I love that you brought this game up. Actually, I still, if we can, I want to talk about the last game that you played that really left a mark on you. So, I'm gonna have to really quickly. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It got spoiled for me, but it's fine. Assassin's Creed Origins. What? Okay. I definitely want to talk about this. I want to hear all about it. The reason why I'm actually really hyped for this one is because I've yet to play this one. And it's one of those games that's in that sweet spot where, like, I think I'm going to be really into it, and I think I know what I'm going to like about it, but I've never tried it, and I'm excited to learn about it from you. Let me really quickly grab another battery because, once again, the camera be dying.
Well, this camera's dying. What I have here are the Naruto RPG collection, essentially. Big fan of Naruto growing up, and we're talking about JRPGs. Essentially, this was their putting the IP onto that. So we have Naruto Path of the Ninja, first game in the series released in the US and Japan. Next one, Naruto RPG 2, never released in the US. I just recently got this. It's really cool. The artworks are really cool. It's like hidden images within everything going on there. Follows up the end of the story. Then we got Naruto RPG 3 in Japan. This is Path to the Ninja 2 in the US. This is the one that I had growing up. Games for the style and love in Naruto and all the little secrets and details they put into it and love put into it. Anyway, we can tell all. I left that there for.
Thank you for that, man. Now I'm looking forward to going back and editing and listening to that myself. That's amazing, brother. Nah, man. Again, like I want to do more of these so you can talk more, man, about games because I love your insight and I love the way our conversations are flowing here, man. Awesome. All right, bro. So, you can still see everything okay, right?
Yep.
Perfect. So, yeah, hit me with a little, for our audio listeners, if you could just say the name of the game, and again, give us a brief description as to what it is, and then lead into why it's worth you talking about it today. Go ahead, brother.
So the game that we're talking about today, that Origins, yes, an Assassins Creed game. That's like to joke around. So Assassin's Creed Origins. So with the Assassin's Creed franchise, each game is its own self-contained story most of the time, and basically about a hidden community society of assassins that are trying to keep order of the world, or rather allow people to maintain their rights of freedom and choices in the world. Each game takes place in a different historical setting, so a different city, country that existed or exists now. And with Assassin's Creed Origins, it's kind of a soft reboot to the series almost.
Yep.
Jumping in point. And its setting is Ptolemaic Egypt, so the time Cleopatra, that we all know of. I feel like, I don't know too much about Egypt. We all hear about Cleopatra. and so I actually learned a lot of Egypt in this time and Egypt in general. And the Assassin's Creed games as a whole are really great vehicles for education about culture and history.
That's awesome. That's actually awesome. Wow, very cool, very cool. You know, it's funny, and I love that you're sharing that because like never, I've never played an Assassin's Creed game to its entirety. I remember maybe 3 years back, I tried playing the very first Assassin's Creed game, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I definitely see the appeal to this, and I definitely want to start trucking through some of these. I own this game, but I love that you talked about like history and how it's pretty cool that you can actually learn a lot about, you know, maybe like through these games about history and the time that it's in. Like that's really cool, man. I did not know that. So another thing that I get to kind of look forward to when I deep dive into these games. So this kind of being a reboot of the series, it's a little bit little bit more open world. I see like there's like this character like he's like equipping stuff and there's different levels to it that there's different levels to like the weapons and stuff. So is it an RPG? Is it not an RPG? Is it a open world? Like yeah, what is it then? Gameplay wise.
So yes, with Assassin's Creed Origins, it's different from the previous games in the franchise in that it has RPG elements to it. So your character will level up. There's crafting. There's a lot of like, you know, kind of boxing where like you go and open a chest and you don't know like what kind of weapon you're gonna get. There's different rarities and stuff like that. So
okay, like the looting's a component.
I'm not really a fan of looting type of things. Like I want to like BioShock, which I need to go back and play it, but I didn't really care for the looting aspect of it to be completely. Which is probably why like same thing with what's that other one, Borderlands. Didn't quite hit me. I just didn't really love it, but I will go back. I mean, I really need to put time into Borderlands. I hardly put any time into it.
That also probably means you're not into Diablo games, huh?
I haven't played Diablo games yet. I have been very interested before, and I know 4 is coming out, so that might be a time to jump on that.
It already came out.
Well,
just goes to show. No, it's fine, man. It's fine. But again, bro, I'm glad that you can be very like open about like, hey, like I've never been into this looting kind of game style, but yeah, bro, you're talking to someone who's like loves it, and I was someone who I didn't really get it before, but Diablo. Say it again.
Why you like Avengers?
Yeah, there we go. So Avengers has a little bit of that looting component, but to be quite honest, like that was like one of my least favorite things about it. Like from Avengers, what I mostly liked was like the gameplay. Like it was just fun to like play as Hulk or play as Iron Man and just feel like a beast. But anyways, to not get too far off topic, Borderlands I played a crap ton, and that in tandem with playing Diablo 3 made me really appreciate like getting this cool drop, getting this cool weapon, and kind of looking forward to that next drop. But again, it's one of those things that like there has to be other parts of the game that you enjoy so that the looting isn't the main reason why you play the game, right? At least for me, for Diablo, it's I level my characters up and looting's a component to it, but I'm excited to learn that next new move, and then the looting's fun. For Borderlands, it's just a fun shooter with like a funny story, and like the looting's fun, but it all kind of works in tandem with each other. So
yeah, I would say this game, the RPG elements really don't affect the game as like a standard RPG kind of thing. Like when we talk about arts, right? You get new abilities and stuff. In this, you love and you get new abilities. The new abilities are helpful, but they're not necessary by any means.
Yeah.
The leveling up is more of an intentional barrier to keep you exploring in the area. So you really can't take out enemies that are more than 2 levels above you. Like you'll just get one shot. And I know like that about this game as opposed to previous Assassin's Creed games. I didn't mind it. A lot of people are very much, they're like, I want to do the main story and skip all side quests. I want to rush through it. And that with the way this game is, it kind of forces you to do some side quests because the experience in side quests will result in you leveling up to be able to act in the next area. So I understand what might not want that, but I think if you go into this game just interested in learning about like history and culture,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
that will not bother you whatsoever because
Mm,
each side mission gives you more like context for the area that people are living in, what
yeah.
values they hold in their culture, what's going on between Egypt, Greece, and Rome during this
Mm,
time. Really put together that all three coexisted and are actually
okay.
have a foot, within the space of Egypt. I didn't really,
What?
and Greece were like there with their own influences, so it's really cool to
I didn't know
to
that
get.
either. And I think it's kind of cool that you're even just you telling me this because as someone who is I wish I knew more about history and all this stuff. Like it's something that I should know more about. But I could have just played this game and been like, this is all just fiction. Someone created this. But that now that you're telling me that like they actually did a pretty good job with like historical accuracy and like it being a good representation of like what actually happened. This gives me like a whole new incentive to again just kind of want to play this game. In terms of like all like the little side quest stuff, like have you ever played Far Cry?
No, I know both Ubisoft games, open world, so I'm sure they're similar.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, like I played a Far Cry. Far Cry 3 was amazing. I love the Far Cry series. I haven't played some of the newer ones, but I did love Far Cry, and I really, as like a little, I like to call myself like I'm a little RPG completionist goon, cause like doing all the little extra stuff and like I don't need to do it. But if I do it, I'm gonna get more experience and I'm gonna get more money and I'm gonna level myself up and I get to complete more of the map. Like, oh my gosh, it's a problem. RPGs, like it's kind of what you talked about earlier. It's made me more of a completionist that I kind of already was. Like I already was, but now I crave it even more. And it's like, no, I have to go to that corner. I have to see what's in there. I have to see if I don't miss out on anything. It's freaking crazy, bro. Like loot treasure 2 out of 3. I'd sit there in that little area until I get to all 3 out of 3, and it's like, okay, now I can move on. And the reward might even might not even be that worth it, but it's just me being able to walk away knowing I completely explored that area as I was supposed to.
I get that. No, this game it does have that. I mean, it's an who's that? Is that Gabe? Hey, what's up, Gabe?
Oh, Chipper Fruit, what up?
Kinda wanted to
I'm gonna
give
be
you a
honest.
jump as well.
If freaking here, put this on so you can talk to him.
Yo.
If Nick didn't say, "Is that Gabe?" you would have scared the crap out of me. You would have given me a freaking poop
Nick
attack.
G, Mr.
Oh my
Man, how
gosh,
you doing?
dude.
How's it going?
Oh man, it's so nice to see your beautiful face and hear your beautiful,
That's what I
sexy
said.
voice.
He's
Oh
got
my, how you doing, man?
Good man. You missed the conversation about racing games earlier.
Burnout. He talked about Burnout.
Burnout, dude. Funny you mentioned that. I've had a song from Burnout stuck in my head all day. Like I was literally just humming it. Right.
Is something that Nick was telling me, and which might incentivize you, is like it's actually does a pretty good job at being like historically accurate.
Oh,
So
yes, I've seen and heard of that, and that
Yeah.
fascinates me very, very much. Like it's
yeah.
just, I mean, I don't know. How is the Assassin's Creed like? Is it series? Is that the right word? Like, how is that going as a whole? Is it still as popular, or when was the last game? Because I feel like I haven't heard as much about it. But
Yes.
otherwise, like, it's still something that's just been in the back of my mind. Please go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So with the game, the recent 3 games, I guess like the soft reboot being Origins, right?
Okay.
Out of those 3, I haven't played one of them, but from the large consensus that I've seen, Origins is the best one. Out of the
Okay. Okay.
next one after it is Odyssey, which takes place in Greece. It does some good things. It gives you, like, when we talk about abilities, and this one being kind of it expands on the types of abilities you get to use that really make you feel more like a god or superpowered in the game. Right? But the other ways that it limits the game, you can never actually be over leveled, and you can never actually.
Oh, interesting.
It feels like the enemies always feel the same, and I don't really like that about it.
Just fair.
Because I mean, it's like doesn't matter. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't matter if you level up. You're always gonna expect, I guess, a certain level of difficulty, right? And I mean, one of the fun things about being over leveled is the fact that you can,
Wreck them.
you could like I put in the work and now you're easy to defeat, to kill, but like you'll never get that. So it's very interesting.
With Origins here, it's good because regions have different levels to them, right? So you can feel overpowered in a place, and you can go into a new place and feel matched or go to another place and be
Oh, sweet.
under level. So the challenge, and is always by choice, right? You always have that
Yeah,
option.
that's awesome. Okay, that's really good then. Cool. Cool.
Um,
Sweet.
and then the other thing that I noticed so I stopped playing Odyssey
Yeah.
20 because two things. One, the world across the whole world looked bland, like it all looked the
Oh, okay.
and the marker points between missions were
Yeah.
so far that literally
Uh,
that's probably like what the bulk of the 20 hours is from was just running from one
dang. Isn't it a little
versus
faster? Oh, wait, sorry, continue.
yeah with Origins. I mean, the world is diverse. It's very diverse from region to
Yeah.
region. Is this really still the same? Like, I didn't know Egypt had all this diversity. I would have just thought desert.
Yeah.
uh
Same.
it's really cool how there's that diversity of the region, and it doesn't feel like you're just running from marker point to pad out the game. So that's
Okay.
why I didn't stick with the other one, but I really appreciated it and loved this one. Oh,
Alrighty. I'll keep that in mind for sure, man.
the characters and the heart of the characters, man. Like, I mean,
Okay.
when people talk about their favorite Assassin's Creed characters, there's usually two that come to their mind, which is Ezio, who got a whole trilogy.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
not fair. He got 3 games. Everybody else only gets one. I think Edward from Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and then Bayek is this guy. He's the next one that people will talk about. He's a great guy. He's a protector of children.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as someone who's done a lot of youth work, I really connected with him in that way, and I really
That's
appreciate how
Yeah.
wanted to mentor people and kids, and also like
That's so
make
cool.
sure that they were being treated with equal rights and
The
justice.
timer looks cool.
And he gave forgiveness for his enemies too, and gave them opportunities to change.
All
And
right.
so like he kills someone, and then their son comes back to take revenge on him, and instead of killing him, tries to persuade him to and get past that vengeance and find it.
Fascinating, dude. Wow. Yeah, that's cool. It's like about breaking the cycle of hatred.
This
so.
looks really good.
It looks good. It
Like,
looks
this
fun.
looks very solid.
Yeah,
You know, I think like I've been feeling playing a game like playing a game like this, but right now for anyone listening,
Oh.
I just finally like this is another game that
Bruh.
I knew one day I'd have to go back and try and give it the respect and
Yes,
the attention
the
that
time,
it
the
deserves.
attention.
So I'm actually playing The Witcher 3 right now, and
Oh.
I'm still near the beginning, but I binged
show.
all of it on Netflix because I'd only seen the first season, and then when I found out the third one came out, I was like, dude, I hadn't even seen the second one yet. So I watched all the second and the third one. Sure, there's a lot of controversial opinions about it out there, but whatever. I had a good time, and it got me super into the world. So now I'm playing The Witcher 3 and I'm having such a good time. So I'm gonna finish playing The Witcher 3, but the next time I want to play a big game like this, I think I'm gonna do Origins next. It looks
Origins
really
is
enticing
great.
to me right now, genuinely.
This is great.
So I think I'm gonna do it. Sweet.
Do it. Literally just watch Revengeance.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, the first season of the show got me into The Witcher. Then I read the first.
Oh, you got the book. You got the book.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I played a little bit of the Wild Hunt. I played through like the first area to the second area. I was into it. I just at that point in time, I didn't want to read a lot in my games, and I didn't want to go through prep. Hey,
Right.
there you go.
Wow. Okay.
It's the first one. It's
That's
literally
so
the
awesome.
first one.
That's so cool. Yeah. Wow. Look at that. Oh. Okay.
You want to read it?
So
It's based off of the.
it's
I need
based off of what?
I think the show is based off of the book, Nick, or the other way? Yeah. No, the book came out first, so I think they based the show off of the book. I
Take
think.
place after the whole book series. So the show is based off of the first book. The second is based off. The first 2 books are just short stories, really.
Okay.
So they're not too solid. They're just short stories. They're easy to jump into because of that.
Yeah.
So, and then the third book in the Witcher series is actually where the story begins, and the next 5 are all that like one story, and that's where The Witcher season 3 really gets going. Or I think season 2 actually starts with the long running story.
Okay. Awesome.
Then yeah, after all the books is the game. The games. Technically, if you play the games, you might get spoilers for the show without realizing it.
Right. That's okay. I'm fine. I'm blasting through the game right now anyway. So, if anything, I think playing through the game will make me appreciate the show even more in the future. So, it's kind of like Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
I played Cyberpunk first, and then I watched the anime. I'm someone who loved Cyberpunk. I mean, I played it once; it was already not so broken.
It was fixed.
Edge Runner made me go out and buy it. You know, that's how.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I played a little.
Bro, that's awesome. I don't want to take up like any more of the time that you guys are still like talking here, but like I'll definitely have to talk to you about Cyberpunk, man, because I need someone to talk to about it, and like he hasn't played it yet, so oh man, I love that game, man.
I have a video essay that I need to share with you. It's 3 hours long.
Oh, dude, please.
As a culture.
I'll totally watch it.
It's by Hello Future Me, if you're familiar with him.
I don't think I'm, but yeah.
He dives a lot into world building as like an author and writer and stuff.
Okay.
But
Awesome.
made me appreciate like what Cyberpunk is like more. And I want for like edge runners or anything, and it's a really good video worth watching. So I'll send that over.
Yes, 100%. Just send it my way, and I'm gonna start watching. I love watching those like documentaries about games and like the things that went into it. So if it'll be like about the world, I'm super excited about that, man. But that's so cool, dude. Well, hey, man, I send you all the love. It's been a big hug, man. I hope you can come visit us one day, or vice versa. If I end up back in the Michigan area, like, dude, I would love to see you, man. Love your energy, love who you are, and yeah, man. Like, just want to say hey.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. That means a lot. Right back at you. You know. Hope to see you.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you kindly. All right, man. I'll hand it over back to Noe. Have a good night, y'all. Have fun.
Thank you, Jibs. Thank you. All right. Well, you got to talk to the other Rizzo in the house. But man, Jib, thank you for taking over for part of the podcast.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. Honestly, like, had I not been busy, I probably would have just joined y'all.
Oh, you should have.
Like, I would have just joined y'all. Like,
okay.
I'm busy. It's all right.
Next time.
Next time.
To answer his last question.
Yeah.
Recent news, they had one announced called Mirage, and it looks like it would be a hybrid of like the old kind of gameplay and style and essence of Assassin's Creed, which is what people have been wanting, mixed with the mechanics of like the newer RPG style games. So it looks really good. Mm-hmm. I hopes for it, but I'm definitely not going to buy it on launch. I'm going to wait to see how that goes.
You can wait a little bit.
But it looks very enticing, and I think it takes place in Baghdad or something, or the Persian Empire, because before Assassin's Creed was their flagship franchise, they had Prince of Persia as like
yep.
I'm sure they're familiar with the setting, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Do something like that. Which, by the way, speaking of Prince of Persia, did you hear that they're making like a reboot on that? It's coming out.
Did hear about that. I've never played a Prince of Persia game. I'll have to try it out.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really. I played once, like way back in the PSP era, and it was all right. But yeah, no, about Assassin's Creed Mirage, I heard that like that's why people are kind of excited for it, because it's supposed to be like a nice hybrid in between the newer ones and the older ones. So we'll see. I want to play this one and fully finish one of the older ones to be able to make more comments on it. Because as of now, I still feel like a spectator because I haven't really played either or. So,
I like you. I played like a chapter or so in the first game, like a long time ago, and didn't come back to the series until this game. It made me go, "Holy crap, man! Like I want more." So I played Odyssey, which like I said, I didn't really care for that one. Can't say that I recommend that, but there's a lot of fans of that one. A lot of people do like that one.
Yeah.
And then I played Assassin's Creed 3 because it was on sale for like really cheap. And Native American, having a Native American lead character, I was super into it. I've always thought American history was boring. Awesome. Between that and like Hamilton around the same time, like it was a good mixture of like, oh, okay, I get this now.
I get this now.
But it was definitely jarring going to an old style of gameplay
Yeah.
from the newer one, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this it's very different. Missions are
Hmm.
very linear. Like you need to do a mission a specific way.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
it fail, and you have to start it over again. So a sequence might get really annoying because you're supposed to play through it like a pre-scripted movie. Um,
Mm.
versus like this newer one, it's not like that. Like
So
it's
open world.
you find, yeah, it's very open world. It's very, you find your enemy, you take them out, and then your cutscenes will play, but you don't have to do it such a specific way.
That's
Um,
cool. That's why it's gonna be really interesting to see how they go about the new one and finding that balance, right?
yeah, yeah. Just in general, I mean, a lot of people say that the identity of it being Assassin's Creed really it
Mm.
hasn't been Assassins in a long time, and it,
Mm.
so they're saying that the games have just been riding off of the title, but haven't really been that in their identity. So I think people
Mm.
it'll return to that. Um, so yeah, I played a little bit of Black Flag too. I have more Assassin's Creed games. I'm really excited to play Unity, which takes place in
Unity.
the French Revolution, and a lot of people, there's a lot of people who really love it for its mechanics, and a lot of people who hate on it because of the bugginess that it was known for when it came out.
Right.
Uh, but I mean, when we talk about like attention to detail and
Mm-hmm.
accuracy, I believe that they spent 2 years focused just on the Notre Dame like church
Oh
and
wow, really?
brick accuracy. And actually, when the Notre Dame burned down a few years ago, they actually went to Ubisoft because they had that recreation that was so accurate to what the church.
What?
So that could actually.
That's cool.
So yeah, like that's really astounding and really cool. And so going into this game, I learned so much about Egyptian culture and even like Greek and Roman culture and how that influenced things. We learn about like the Greek pantheon, but we never learn about the Egyptian pantheon. Uh,
Mm.
that was kind of confusing sometimes when they don't do it like you're an elementary student and you're learning about it for the first time. Like the
Yeah.
main, he's talking about his gods, and he's like, oh, thank Set, or what it seems like it must be this god's influence, and
Yep.
so you have to go in a good way, or you have to put in some research outside of it to try to peel back the layers and figure out, oh, okay, this is the god of this is why he's saying this about this god, or like he's talking about Horus here, or he's talking about
Yeah.
like you know Isis here or something like that. So
Yep.
but
Wow.
as going, you'll figure that out, and just very human characters. uh
Mm.
like in the society that they had, women were actually equal, but then because
Oh.
of the influence of the Romans,
Mm-hmm.
they more so women were subservient to men, and
Mm.
that influence in that cultural shift. So it's interesting to learn about that and how their society ran a little bit different, how they built their different cities and stuff based off of the resources they had around them,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, this also has to do with Caesar of Rome, his influence with Cleopatra, and then how he gets like stabbed a bunch of times.
Mm.
So
Sorry.
that's all in the game's story, but really when it
Yeah.
comes about uh, Bayek, who, minor spoilers, is a grieving father, uh,
Ah.
and how he is coming to terms with that, how him and his wife. Uh,
Wow.
actually,
That's crazy.
I did hear originally his wife was supposed to be the main character that you play as, but I think because of
Ooh.
thought it wouldn't market as well to boys and their demographic, they switched it to Bayek. But she's still in the game. They're both great characters, and there's tragedy in this game, man. I mean, there's like
Yeah.
like you get attached to some characters, and you're like, they wouldn't like they,
Bro.
that far, and then they do, and you're
You're
like,
like, bro.
oh, it's like Full Metal Alchemist with
Yes.
with the girl and the dog. You're like, they wouldn't,
Yo.
and then,
Oh.
and you're like, man,
Oh, they went there. They went there, bro. Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Ooh. Only a select few will know that reference, and if you do, you're one of the real ones. Nah, man, that's crazy, bro. But dude, no, thank you so much for really explaining the ins and outs of this game and what makes it so fun. Because again, man, like this is why I want to do this and like hopefully give people this more positive view and perspective of these games. Because I feel like as a newcomer to the series, if I would have been one of those people who was just watching all the negative reviews as to why this game isn't like original Assassin's Creed and why it's so bad and blah 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 blah, I could have really missed out, man. This game sounds like it's a freaking great time, and honestly, me and my perspective going into it is going to affect the outcome and how much I enjoy the game. And if I would have gone into it just thinking about all the flaws, you know what I mean? Like maybe I would have played it and been like, yeah, it's not that good, but getting to hear from you all these different aspects as to why you enjoyed the game so much, I now look forward to this game so much more than I did in the past. I know that's something that I try to like keep real with my reviews too. It's like I feel like a lot of the times, like I don't know, I think you can't ignore the flaws in a game, but there's nothing wrong with highlighting what's fun about it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess to summarize for why I was really attracted to this game.
Yeah.
I played this during the 2020 pandemic. Like pandemic had really happened. I graduated April 2020, so like a month into it, I was done with school. I needed something to do.
Yeah.
this was on sale, and I grabbed it. I was like, okay, I've been wanting to try it out, and I did have a trip to Morocco while I was studying abroad in Spain. So being in the desert, you know, it was just really cool. And I don't know, just something about the desert attracts me. But if you are adventurously frustrated, or playing something like Assassin's Creed Origins is a great way to both satisfy and fuel that adventure frustration, because you get to go see these places that you haven't gotten to see before in your life, or maybe if you have been turn because of how, you know, accurate and such these things can look.
That's so cool.
There's actually a whole tour mode in this game, completely explore the whole map easily, no enemies, and it literally gives you so much information of a voiced tour guide of like these different attractions, different things around the different cities, the different areas, so you can just go this game like it's a museum if you just want to do that.
That's so cool. And all these little attention to details. I mean, I haven't watched too many reviews on this game because I haven't freaking played it and I don't want to get things spoiled, but I hope that there's other people talking about these, you know, little highlights to it too, because this is a pretty cool aspect of the game that I had no idea about. And I know that when I play it and I do eventually make my review on it, like I will highlight this because that is super, super freaking cool, man. I am looking at time here, and we're doing good, but we're definitely getting to that long mark. So just to neatly tighten this up in a little bow, Assassin's Creed Origin. Is this the latest game that you've played that you were going to talk about, or no?
No. I mean, if you want to move on to the latest, I mean, if we're just talking about the latest game that I've been playing.
Not necessarily just the latest game that you've been playing, but the last game that you played that you were like, oh my god, this game is friggin' dope.
I mean, this might be one of those. This might be that game.
That's fair.
And it's not. I've been playing a decent number of games over the 3 years, because I said that I played that in 2020. But
yeah.
I mean, that one really impacted me. I want to go back and play it some more.
Well, because what I was gonna ask is to give it the same kind of treatment that you gave Kingdom Hearts, and like give me maybe like the ranking or the review, like the point. What am I trying to say here? Rank it out of 10. You know, give it like a rating. There it is. A rating out of 10 from the very first time that you played it. Maybe now looking back on it in hindsight, if it would still retain that same rating, and then maybe a more general public rating for this game.
Yeah, man. I hate to be a broken record here, but I think I got to give it. I got to give it a 10 for both. Like,
that's fine, bro. That's fine.
I mean, I don't think I ever experienced any real like glitches with the game. I mean, I like this game enough. It's a huge map because it's an Ubisoft game. Huge map. I like this game enough that I was like, I'm gonna go through it and I'm gonna play every single side mission there is. I've already beaten the game. I want to go through and play.
Let's go.
every ounce of it
That's how
because
you know.
I just want to explore. Like I want to have more experience with the culture. I just want to play
That's
this
how you
game,
know.
and yeah. I mean, so for that, I mean, I would give it a 10 challenge wise. You know, we talked about you
Oh
our game
yeah.
wanting to play games for like the challenge, like playing Kingdom Hearts up on like maximum difficulty. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if like a DLC for this game that it's just straight challenges. Like
Really?
I had some that were like kicking my ass, but I mean, you know, I overcame them after like 14 tries or something like that. But
14.
you know, now I came up the other day because I was like, oh, I kind of want to like mess around a little bit.
Yeah.
There was a meteorite that fell from the sky and landed, and there was a cutscene. I was like, what is this? I've never.
What?
What is? There wasn't any like triggers of me talking to
Yeah.
something. Like I was just walking in this area, and it
Yeah.
happened, and I was like, I guess there's more to the game. I got some enemies popped up, immediately died. Man, I cannot hold my
Got
own.
wrecked.
It's been so long since I played. I cannot hold my own. But so going back to it in that sense, it might not be the most beginner friendly game, and I think
Oh,
there's
really?
different modes to approach it. But I mean, if you're still, especially newer to games and stuff, you're
Yeah.
probably gonna get wrecked in this game a lot. I mean, even when I feel like I'm pretty like experienced with games, but it's similar to Dark Souls in that
Mm.
you need to know that you need to time blocking and parry,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to
Mm-hmm.
go weave around your enemies to get to their weak spots, and you can't just fight them all head on. It's not
I love
just
that.
you're mashing the button and you're kicking their asses because you're overpowered.
Yep.
Like, you do have to sit there and put a little bit more attention, a little bit more,
Thought and strategy into.
and not all the fights, but a lot of them for sure. And
Yeah.
that's if you take things head on. I mean, you can a lot of it, right? It's assassins. You can do stuff
Yeah.
like and snipe people, take out darts. I mean,
That's so cool.
or throw poison out here that spreads from person to person, so they all like poison each other by contact and take each other out.
And I love that. I love when a game gives me that kind of freedom to just like, here's a situation. There's like 100 different ways you can tackle it. Like, go have fun. Again, like we'll definitely have to make another episode on it. But like Skyrim, like,
Yeah,
bro, there's so much you can do in that game, and like all the different builds and all the different like same exact scenario, but you can tackle it 1,000 different ways, and it's so great. So that's really cool. I really like that you brought that up too, and in terms of like the difficulty component and how it's not just a hack and slash where you can just go up and like you're just a beast. Like, you gotta put a little bit of strategy into it. You gotta time the parries. Like, that's great, man. That's great. I think you've done a really fantastic job at selling me and hopefully anyone else in this game who might have had a certain view on it to really just give it a shot, because I think that's what I want. I want people to like get another take on these games from people who really enjoyed them and come back to and be like, all right, let me give this game a shot with like this different perspective. So, heck yeah, bro. Heck yeah. So, thank you so much, Senor Talamantes. I'm so grateful, brother. Did you have any other last things you want to say about this game before we move on to the last section?
no, man. I mean, if you have an Assassin's Creed game before, this might be the one to start with. It was the one that I started with. I picked it up fine.
Mm-hmm.
Know about any other lore, any other connecting games to play it, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's old. It's like it's an older game now per se. I think it came from the earlier PlayStation 4 era, maybe.
Yeah, it did. I think so.
It's still beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's awesome.
Like water, like it's
I love
really.
it. I love it. No, it looks good. It looks good. Even just watching it now, I'm like, I can see that like it holds up. It holds up. Like, I'm not like, oh, it is, like, I like it. I like it. But yeah, man. Wow, holy smokes! Thank you once again. Here, let's see. So just to kind of finish the ye old pod up, because we are out of time, I'm going to ask you. Oh, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Boom, because it's nighttime now. Because we've been talking about games all day, so we got to put the Night Wolves den up. All right, brother. So yeah, man. Wow, dude. Holy smokes. I'm definitely gonna have you back for another episode, because we just took so many different twists and turns with our conversations about games. But I love that. I kind of wanted I love real conversations like that. And at the end of the day, we're just talking about video games and what makes them so great. So I think this was freaking awesome, man. Thank you so much for being so authentically you, Nick. Like, I appreciate it, man. This is a great talk. Just to finish off the podcast here, if you could just top 3 games that you didn't get to talk about in the pod today, but you would like to, maybe if you come back, and just kind of list them off, and we'll go from there.
Sheesh. I didn't
know.
talk about Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom and all. I have been playing that. I've actually sidelined Tears of the Kingdom to play Skywalker Saga, the Lego Skywalker Saga, which I've been really enjoying too.
Okay.
But I'll come back to it. I'll probably come back to it after I play Persona 5. But games, aside from Breath of the Wild, I would say Hades. Hades is an excellent games need to get talked about more, and I think that everyone knows that indie games are killing AAA games. AAA games look like fools coming out next to them.
Bro.
Something I'd love to talk about. So it reminds me of being a kid on the computer and playing those games where, like, if you got to start from the beginning again.
Yep.
Like, you got to start, but something about it is addicting enough that you keep playing it for hours and hours.
Bro, I need you to do me a favor, and after, like, at some point this week, listen to the podcast with Rankyo. You have to, because he may or may not talk about Hades, and I just want you to hear it.
Okay.
What else you got?
Oh, yes. All right. I was like, what else will I talk about? Lego Dimensions.
Ooh.
Toys to Life era game. I was working at Meyer when this was out, so I was able to pick up the expansion packs all the time. But you get Legos and DLC as Lego IPs and worlds and games that are probably never going to get made otherwise.
Yeah.
This was fun. Especially
that's awesome. Because
we didn't talk about Portal at all.
No.
If you're a fan of Portal, and I would throw that as my last one there as Portal. But if you know Portal, then you know that just like with Half-Life, Valve is terrible about making third games in the franchise, and a lot of people trilogies, especially feel like there's more to the story. Maybe this game there is a Lego Portal pack, and it have the voice actors, Beatley, Dave Johnson, GLaDOS are all there. It's such a deep dive into what lore has already been given to you through the real games, and then it expands on that, and it's like, all right, for whatever reason you're back in the test chambers, you're at Aperture again, and there's more story with GLaDOS and everything, and there's a soundbite of Cave Johnson talking about like mantis men that they experimented on and make, and then there's a section with mantis men that you're dealing with. So
all of this is in the Lego Dimensions game?
Yeah.
Who would have thought, dude? Again, I've played Portal 2, and I don't know, man. I never would have seen Lego Dimensions and been like, ooh, there's a little bit of a Portal in there that I might really enjoy. Like, that's so cool, bro. I think those are some great games that I would love to talk about with you next time. If you're willing to come back to the pod, my friend, is that a yes? Are you willing to come back, man?
Get questioned about my favorite video games, I'm down.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Senor Nick Talamantes, dude, thank you so much for being a part of the pod, man. Thank you so much for being just such a bro, dude. Thank you for coming out here and talking to me about games so spontaneously. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your friendship. I do want to shout you out real quick. Pokemon, I'm gonna do it because people deserve to see the face that helped me and supported me. When I was living in Michigan and I was full-time streaming, I really wanted to play Pokemon Legends Arceus, but I couldn't afford it. My boy Nick T randomly just Venmoed me enough money to get the game, and oh my gosh, talk about not just a real friend, but someone who just helps someone follow their dreams and really just pushes, just helps people follow that, right? So thank you so much, man. Again, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for our friendship, and Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on the pod and talking to me about some games. I'm excited to do this again, bro.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Hit me up whenever. I'm down.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. We'll do, my brother. All right, man. Little thing I've been doing with everyone else who stops by the pod. I'm just gonna let you end the pod with whatever last final words you might want to. So, take it away, brother.
So when it comes to video games, there's so many different reasons as to why we're drawn to them. Obviously, we don't want to spoil ourselves going into the game, but it is important to know the type of expectations that we have in the game and the type of perspective that we're going into it with. That is crucial to making a game that is and taking an amazing game and letting you have the most of the experience versus having something that turns you off right from the first few chapters. So with that, go ahead, uh, dive into some games that you're looking forward to, and talk to some friends, do some research a little bit about what some expectations for that should be.
Perfect. All right, I'm ending it. Bye. Mic drop.